I've had this video idea sitting around for quite a while, and I was planning to do it whenever I got a free moment after playing PAX Day. Unfortunately, Xillin just did this video, and I try to avoid hitting you all with repeat videos, but unfortunately there are a lot of people making Ashes videos, so sometimes it's gonna happen. I think there are a lot of people that are incredibly excited for Ashes, but despite Steven saying this game will not be for everyone in nearly every live stream, I still think many are not fully prepared for what that entails, or it just really hasn't sunk in yet. And I've said it repeatedly, as have many others, but this game is not yet another WoW clone. In fact, it's not even close. But many of the people that became interested in this game after the Lazy Peon video or the Asmongold interview, that's all they really know in terms of MMOs. WoW, or one of the many MMOs that are very similar to WoW. They were sold on the visuals and some of the ideas, but until they see actual players in this game or play it themselves, most truly do not know what they're getting themselves into. And I'm not just referencing the one thing everybody talks about regarding this MMO, the always-on PvP with a karma system known as corruption that punishes griefers. I think many are aware of that, and those that are abjectly opposed to that have already written this game off. But I think even amongst those that are okay with always-on PvP, there are people that will not like the game once they get in and play. And I think the biggest thing is the sheer amount of time it will take to make meaningful progression in this game. Steven has said no grind many times regarding this MMO, but I don't believe him. The reason I don't believe him is multifaceted. First, it is said to take a long time to achieve things in this game. Max level takes 45 days of playing 4 to 6 hours per day. Sure, there have been MMOs that took longer, but that is still a significant amount of time. And it would be very hard to fill all that time with absolutely no grind. The same can be said about the artisan system. Leveling in that will take a long time. Getting a freehold is going to take a long time. Getting a decent set of in-game gear is going to take a long time. With all those time-consuming progression systems, not having any grind at all, I think is going to be very hard to pull off. The second reason I think Ashes could have a lot of grind is Ashes has taken inspiration from some of the grindiest MMOs we have ever seen. Even Lineage 2 have insane levels of grind. Arcade is a little better, but still has a ton of grind. If they're able to pull off this game without grind, I would be very surprised, and the grind will be a shock for many modern MMO players. Next, I think about how different progression will be from how progression is handled in the theme parks. There are no quest hubs. There are not planned to even be quest markers. Leveling is not a linear go from point A to B to C experience like most MMOs these days. The optimal leveling route might be hard to ascertain and will vary by server and vary throughout a server's life. The next steps a player needs to take to advance their character in terms of level of artisan skills will not be as straightforward as it is in theme parks. Next, I think the need to be in a solid group and to group up for a lot of open world content will catch many off guard. This will be a game that you want to be in a guild. Without a guild, you are not going to have anywhere near the same experience. Then we have the idea of exclusivity. Many are not in any way prepared for how exclusive certain things will be in this game. Obviously, flying mounts fall into this category. Each server is said to have a maximum of 10 to 20 flying mounts per server. Some players might play for years and never get a flying mount. Land and sea-based mounts I think will have some very hard to obtain versions that are stronger and very exclusive as well. Gear falls into this category as well. There might be some gear that is very rare, even more rare than flying mounts. In fact, they've said there might even be items that are so rare that they literally only have one of these items per server. Steven has said countless times there will not be participation trophies. This is what he means. There are some things you may never get no matter how long you play. With exclusivity does come some negatives, at least for some people. Some of the previous MMOs that Ashes is inspired by, such as Arcade, had big power gaps created by those that had some of the hard to obtain higher tiers of gear and those that did not. One-shotting of players that do not have good gear was very common in those games. This, again, is something the current theme park MMOs have moved away from and something that will be a shock to many. Next, we have old school MMO punishing systems like death penalties and dropping raw materials upon death. Sure, this is related to PvP somewhat, but even in PvE you will drop materials. In fact, you drop more materials in PvE if you are flagged as a combatant, which in many cases you likely will not be flagged as a combatant in PvE. And in addition to that, what might be trivial content in theme parks throughout the open world is likely to be much more difficult in Ashes, which again does tie into the need to be in a group. So to recap, on the screen are all the reasons I believe Ashes could be a shock to many. Some of these are closely related to each other, and I'm sure there are more reasons that I missed or that will show up over time. In the end, I think even some of the biggest fans of Ashes are going to be in for a big surprise. It would not even shock me if even some of the more active Ashes content creators are shocked when they actually play this game and end up moving on. In fact, I actually expect stuff like that to happen. But I'm definitely going to be here because I'm fully aware of what this game is. And I think many more are about to be aware as well. Thanks so much for watching to the end, and I'll see you guys in the next video.